Kicking it off.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Expanding the Conversation with Richard and Kofi. Today, we're going to be talking about niceness, being nice. And the reason we're talking about niceness is sometimes I'm not very nice. And so my friends, and especially my closest friends, tell me I have to be nice. I'm generally a nice guy, but Richard is one of the nicest guys I know. And so we thought we'd talk about niceness because it seems to have a lot of benefits, right, Richard, in society. I think the world could do with some niceness. And we have a lot of nice people around us. Some names I wouldn't call because I'm sure they don't want to be mentioned on live air. But niceness, what does it mean to be nice, and why is it important? You think for us to be nice. What is being nice all about, Rich?
It's a great question. It's welcome everybody again to another expanding the conversation. Niceness to me is sort of the glue that sticks us together, right? The way we interact with each other and the way um we see each other and smile with each other and live in our day-to-day lives. And a lot of times I feel like we are looking out for that which is bad. And when we do that, we sort of put up a wall and we tend to be selective about who we're nice to. First of all, I think, in my observation, we tend to think, well, we're only going to be nice to those people that are nice to us, or we're only going to be nice to somebody that is relevant in our lives. And when we do that, I feel like we be selectively nice and we miss the opportunity and the benefits, the opportunity to be nice to somebody else for no reason at all, and the benefits that comes with it. Nice can being nice, I think, Kofi, can mean different things to different people. To me, what I see it as is just going out into the world and assuming that everybody's your friend. I know we preach and we teach stranger danger to our kids. We tend to encourage them not to engage too much with people that they don't know. And as adults, I think we tend to take the same approach too. But it is my firm belief, having been in a few places and met a few people along the way in different environments, that just showing up and treating another person as though they're your friend and somebody that you know and to some degree trust. That is, simple things like a smile. Um, Eye contact is always a good way to be nice to somebody and just be pleasant, right? I feel like we put up a lot of defenses and 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 miss the opportunity, as I said, to just communicate and connect with another human being. So that's what niceness means to me. I'm sure you've been the recipient of a lot of benefits of just being a nice guy. Kofi, despite what he says, he probably isn't a nice guy to everybody because he's so good at so many things, which can be incredibly annoying. But but I think Kofi is one of the nicest guys I know. So I will endorse the fact, my brother, that you're a nice guy. But that's sort of in a nutshell what being nice means to me, and we can jump into different layers to the conversation. But I'll let you chime in there, Mr. Nice
All
Guy.
right. So there's probably a lot of layers to nice, I suppose, because one of the first things that people think about is if you are nice, then you make yourself vulnerable, right? Because you don't project strength. So I suppose then we need to have a conversation about if I'm going to be nice, how do I still project strength, especially in places where people could see nicety or being nice as a weakness, right? And how do you bridge that gap between saying, look, I'm going to be nice, but sometimes, take for example, a young lady, is being nice to a guy, right, who she isn't interested in, but he reads that niceness as interest nonetheless because he thinks that her being nice is not consistent with her lack of interest, right, in him, whereas she's only trying to be nice. doesn't she run the risk then of being vulnerable, in terms of giving the impression that, if you're not interested, then you shouldn't be nice to me, right? I mean, that's kind of the perception sometimes that society has. So how do we bridge that gap between I'm going to be nice, but I'm also still going to project strength and confidence and absolute certainty on the position that I'm taking, right? Without being an idiot, or as we say, without being a jackass, right? So how can I be nice but still project strength, confidence, and certainty? How would you do it, Rich?
So there are a couple of things there. One, I think, and again, this is entirely my perspective on this. There's a misconception between being nice and not having boundaries, or compromising your values, right? Those are two separate things. So if I'm a nice person, so if I show up in an environment and I see people, male, female, whoever they may be, and I'm having a conversation with them, I'm genuinely interested in who the person is, and I genuinely want to connect, right? I want to establish some sort of shared values if there's the opportunity to. But I just want to meet somebody, genuinely meet somebody. So in the example that you give there, which I think a lot of times is what prevents us from being nice. If a girl shows up and is nice to a guy, that doesn't automatically mean that she then compromises who she is, right? That doesn't automatically mean that she removes the boundaries that she's set around how she engages with a guy, right? And so I think that's a misconception and a fear-based perspective that we take a lot of time. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure that people can misinterpret being nice, especially in an environment where people aren't always nice. But I don't think that that means automatically if I'm nice to somebody and they like me because I'm nice, because I think that's what happens when you're nice to people. People will like you, right? You don't that's and that's what I think inevitably we all want to be liked, right? I mean, this is not me making this up. I think that's what the psychologists say, right? We all want to live in a place where we're nice and we get along with people. And so in that setting, I don't know that necessarily. Like, I certainly think a guy that feels like an interaction with a girl is favorable to him may turn it up, right? And be like, all right, this girl likes me, which is fine, but that doesn't automatically mean that the girl is making a commitment to be in a relationship with him, right? She's got her values, and then she's got her boundaries that she's established for her conduct. And so I think that applies to all of us. I don't think that nice makes us vulnerable in the sense that then we're subject to whatever ills somebody may try to inflict on us. But I think just nice just means being a nice person to somebody else, right? You'll still have your boundaries, you'll still know how you engage and all that stuff. But I think the practice of being nice is not something that I think we need to incorrectly wrap up with the fear of if somebody likes us, um, what that does. Certainly, I think those are two different things. But I can see how they get wrapped up all the time, right? With
Right.
each other.
And so that's one side of it, and I think that's a good way to look at that, right? That boundaries are important, and that we're not talking about boundless niceness, right? Is that there are boundaries in how we interact and deal with people, and so I like what you're saying is that we don't have to compromise who we are simply because people are going to be mean and unresponsive. We don't have to necessarily or respond differently than we might expect. We don't have to compromise who we are because we've got boundaries, right? And I like that. The other side to that then is for those who are listening to us and hear niceness, they are sometimes those who carry niceness like a burden. Like we feel this burden to be nice even when it comes at a cost to us. And so I feel like you talked about the boundary on one side, but sometimes that extended niceness, where, for example, if someone is doing something to us, and we need to put a stop to it, I suppose we could say nicely, "Stop," right? Or or we find ourselves in circumstances where, excuse me, we find ourselves in circumstances where we overextend and we overreach, right? Because we want to be perceived as nice, right? All the time. How are we supposed to manage that? I mean, for me, there's a limit to which I think you have to go to define what being nice is, because I think once you cross that boundary, you're not really being nice anymore, even though it appears that you might be. Well, would you agree with that?
So I think there is at the core of everything that we do and the way we act every day, it has to come from a place like deep within us, right? It has to be connected to our beliefs and to our value system. And so
Mhm.
being nice, the way I look at being nice to somebody else, like I mentioned earlier, is how would I interact with a really good friend, right?
Mhm.
How would I react to the family member that I love? Because I know some people don't love all their family members, right? How would I interact with that person? What how would I treat them? What would I say? What would I do? How would I greet them? And those are things that I use as my basis for niceness. Now again, I also sometimes I can be fairly sort of direct when I talk to people, right? I have sort of an interest in human beings being better. And so sometimes when I have conversation with people, I'm sure it doesn't come across as nice, right? But it comes across as nice from my perspective and my value system. And right, I have a genuine interest and love in helping you in any way I can be a better person. That may not be nice to you, right? But the point is that being nice should just be who we are. It should just be the way we would. So I guess put differently, we oftentimes believe and act in a way that people ought to earn our niceness, right? And so I don't know you. I don't know what your intentions are. I don't know what you're about. I don't know your background. So you're going to have to earn your niceness, right? Which is kind of like trust. But I don't think that that's necessarily true, because what that means is that you're constantly adjusting your behaviors and your interactions, rather than saying that if I'm a nice person, this is what I would do to somebody that I like, right? Somebody not in the sense of like a romantic like, but a
Right.
human being that I would care for as well as much as I would somebody that I already know. And so I think if you do that, then it's a lot easier to be nice without constantly questioning your niceness, right? Am I sending the wrong signals? Am I being too nice to this person? Because a lot of times, let's be honest, right? We're gonna interact with people every day. If you're single or if you're married in a relationship, maybe a very small percentage of those people you could potentially send the wrong message to. So it's not that big a deal, but I understand how sometimes we get over consumed with sending the wrong messages.
Right.
Just being a nice person, like you could meet a guy, right? And you connect with the person as a guy I'm talking about, right? As a straight person, you're not trying to send the wrong message. You're just being nice to them, right? And you say, well, man, I really like you. Like, you're a nice person. Let's hang out sometimes, right? Let me get your number. Let's catch up. Or you just see somebody in the supermarket, right? I know, no, I keep using the supermarket as an example, but like you see somebody in the supermarket and you just say good morning or good afternoon to them and ask them how they're doing, and you have a conversation with them, and then you walk away. I mean, that's just it's easy to be nice in a way where there's not like a follow up to it, right? Or
Right.
imagine you're like Jesus, right? You're traveling down the road and you just want to meet people and be nice. You're never going to see them again. That's fine, right? And for the most part, a lot of times the people that we meet on a day-to-day basis, we don't see them constantly, right? We don't see them all the time. If you jump into a bus back home and you're traveling from one place to the next, you can be nice to the people in the bus. You can be nice to the bus conductor, right? We talked about sometimes just saying, thanks to the bus driver for getting you there safe, right? Uh, or you could go into a restaurant or a coffee shop and be nice to the person that's serving you.
Right.
And I think there's power in that, right? I mean, I know we haven't touched on how powerful it is to be nice to people, um, but I think that's what that's how I would solve that problem. To answer that question, I'm acting in accordance with my value system and my beliefs, and so that's where my niceness comes from, right?
Yeah. So, and actually, that's one of the things I was gonna bring up is where does the commitment to being nice come from? Because you made some suggestions there about what are some small things that people can do, right, to cultivate being kind, being nice. Whether you're in a minibus and you express gratitude to people, um, whether you show up to an establishment and you greet people with a bright connection, handshake, and smile, and you're nice to people. Whether you see somebody out that you help, whether on the road or wherever the case might be, whether you're driving and instead of cutting somebody off, you allow them to go, right, in order to make sure that we're not dealing with an accident situation or a road rage situation. So there's a whole lot of um, opportunities to be nice. And then in terms of the benefits, I think we live in a chaotic world. A lot of people are stressed. Cost of living is going up. There's a war in part of the world. We just came out of COVID. A lot of people are stressed and are having a hard time. And so I really think that this sort of commitment to being nice and kind can be helpful in that regard, right? Can be very helpful in helping somebody feel more meaningful about their lives and feel happy. Someone said to me recently that they were going to commit to being nice, and if they could put a smile on somebody's face, then they feel like they've achieved something meaningful in their own lives, even if they're going through some suffering and pain. So I think that that's good, Richard. I think that that's a global good and can help so many people deal with the circumstances that we have, sort of as a community, across the board. But how do we commit to this? How do we commit to being people who want to be nice to other people? If you were talking to me and I was like, I don't have time with these people out here, Richard. These people don't deserve my niceness. Wrong with your buddy. Like, what would you say to me? Right? I mean, got time to tell no conductor, the man don't drop me off, the man going fast, the man keep on kill me by.
You
Squeeze me
ask
up
you
in
to
the
double up,
yeah,
put
yeah, and the
four in
man
the
just
seat.
rob me. What are you talking about, boy? What you want me
No
nice to
time to be
man?
nice to this man.
Exactly. What would you say to me? What would you say to me?
So I like to think from a starting point, Kofi, about what's in it for me, right? Or what's in it for you. So think selfish for a moment. Forget about necessarily how it benefits somebody else. If you go about in the world, and a lot of times, and I'll use Neil Donald Walsh's statement, right? He says that what flows through you sticks to you because there's only one of us in the room, and what I interpret that as saying that there's one humanity that we live in.
Right.
And so when we're nice to somebody else, it not only helps or makes the other person feel good, it actually does good for us. And the science backs this up too, right? So it's not just a feeling. We feel good about being nice. We feel good about doing something for somebody else. And so we just naturally feel good. But imagine you're in a group setting, and you're having a conversation with somebody, and just as a result of being nice, the person is, they're engaged, right? They're talking to you, and they're smiling, or they even burst out in laughter, right? And everybody in the room is to some degree, whether in their peripheral or physically observing that conversation, says, man, this guy must be something nice about this fella, right? Look how much niceness, like look how engaged that person is. And so naturally, when you have an interaction with that person, they're already coming with that sort of sense that like you're a nice person. Like they can tell that you're a nice person, right? People observe that. People are attracted to nice people, period, right? You walk into a place and everybody faces sour and they're not smiling at all, and there's this one person that seems like they're in a better mood or they're happy, you will naturally want to just interact with that person. You're not going to this person that seems like they're having a really bad day, right? And so for you as a person, being nice allows you to actually navigate your day-to-day things just better, right? So forget about for a moment, forget about the added benefits of being nice to somebody else. Think about yourself, right? So if you want to have a good life and if you want to move through life with some degree of ease, be nice. So that's the beginning of it, right? And I think it's easy because most of us want that, right? Most of us don't want to have interactions with people where we're shouting or where we're arguing
Yeah.
or where they're just mean to us. We want to show up and people be like, "Hey man, how you doing? It's so good to see you. You always have a smile, or you're a nice person, or whatever it is, right? What do you need? Here, let me help you out, right?" We all want to have those experiences, right? This is why the VIP was created, right? We want to feel important, and how we feel
Right.
important. You can buy it sometimes, but it'd be great if you didn't have to, right? If you just showed up, people like, man, I know you. You're a nice fella. Come on, let me hook you up, right? Um, and you get through life easier. But on the flip side, there's a statement that says that like every action that you take has a ripple effect beyond yourself. And so imagine somebody's having a bad day, as you said, and an easy example, because I've had this many times, is like when there's a delay with a flight at the airport or there's a cancellation. Like people just attack the person that's behind the desk,
Just
right? And
standing there, yeah. Like they're
the
gonna
person
make it
doesn't fly
happen.
the plane, they don't make the policies, they don't make the decisions to cancel or delay the
And the
flight, but they're
airline,
getting
right?
the brunt of it, right? They're just getting beaten down. I don't understand how this happens. Why do you guys do this? Now I gotta get and the person is probably like, I just put the stuff in the computer, right? You can show up and be nice to that person and allow that person to go home or even have a little bit more energy in the way they're interacting with everybody else, right? Or somebody else may observe how nice you are to that person and decide that they're going to also approach it in a nice fashion, right? Because people generally tend to observe their environments and choose, I think, sometimes their actions based on how everybody else is acting. And so there's a ripple effect, right, of how you treat that person in that situation, right? There could be somebody that's going through a really hard day. They woke up and things didn't go right. Whatever the case is, they were late dropping their kids to school, or they had a flat, or they missed the bus, whatever it is, right? And just being nice to that person, being kind and maybe giving them a smile could change how they feel about the day, right? Maybe they met five other people that were mean to them, and that one interaction they had with you restores their hope in humanity, right? Like I know many people like that. I'm like, man, you guys make me believe that human beings can be good people, right? I'm grateful for it. So there's that effect, right? And so there are two sides to that, where you receive a lot as a result of being nice, but then everybody else lives are better, right? And so if we want to make the world a better place, I think we just need to be nicer to each other.
Good man. Well, hey guys, you heard it right here in ETC. Niceness is the way to go. A lot of benefits, personal and societal. I really think that this it goes a really long way, and you don't have to worry about you're being excessively vulnerable or conveying the wrong message. Like I think you said, Rich, we established the right boundaries. We can be firm. We can be firm and nice. We can be strict and nice. We have our boundaries, but projecting sort of positive, attitudes and being kind to people is a pretty solid, value to commit to. So, last word to you, Rich, and that's what I'd say to close it out.
No, thanks for joining the conversation. Being nice is free, I will say. And the next time you see somebody see that appears as though they're having an easier life than the rest of us, I would encourage you to observe them, maybe have a conversation with them, because chances are they probably are enjoying some of the benefits of just being nice. So be nice for you as well as the rest of us. We all need it. Thanks for joining us.
All right, take care, guys. Bye.